So, in what could be a great day for WNBA media, the Woj, the Shams, whatever the hell you want to call her, Annie Costabile, has left the Chicago Sun-Times. And I thought here, and I was like, there is absolutely no way that the Chicago Sun-Times have fired the probable, like, the Woj slash Shams of the WNBA. The person in the WNBA sphere who is breaking so much, who is breaking all the news. Unless it was literally by Shams himself, it was Annie that was breaking the news, or maybe Alexa Philippou from ESPN. They were like, Shams, I think, broke one of it, was the Jewel Lloyd trade, and it's between Alexa Philippou and Annie Constable for everything else. But one of the big things, more on what's next soon. More on what's next. Reading through Reddit, I have a big feeling that she is she's gonna be something big. Wonder if she ends up as an ESPN reporter. She's basically the WNBA Woj. Easily surpassed every WNBA beat reporter. Should be groomed to be the Woj or Shams at W. I hope she moved bigger to better and didn't get laid off. There is no chance. Seems to me any media company pretty dumb to lay off a good women's basketball reporter in 2025 to be a rare avenue. Yep. W fans still aren't ready for someone like her. A lot of people still look at the W as a secret girls clubhouse where you can only be positive. And like this is the quote tweet. One of the quote tweets that keeps getting posted everywhere. Where basically I can't remember what she said. She said that Satu wasn't going to the Sky. And by the way, I'm pretty sure, like 2 days later, she said Satu wasn't going to the Fever. Like, she literally said that, and supposedly she's a Fever homer because she said Satu, apparently it was a hit piece on the Sky, her saying Satu had no interest in playing for the Sky. And like, that was the funniest thing, where it's like, these people legitimately don't care about basketball. The Chicago Sky could go 0 for 4, they're not going to go 0 for 44. But I'm just talking about a hypothetical. They could go 0 for 44. She could have wrote an article saying that the Chicago Sky had a bad season and she would be considered a hater. Like, it was madness, some of the stuff that was going on. But she was dead right on this one. A lot of stands reporting, like, very true. Hopefully she's headed to a national reporting type role. I would assume so. I would very much assume so. Like, she was without question the best WNBA reporter. It's either ESPN or The Athletic bound. I would say so. I would genuinely say so. Quia could be a great replacement for her. I don't know her experience in like journalism, but I mean, she's neutral and from Chicago. So if she has any experience in journalism, I would welcome that because she's at least neutral and talks ball. But yeah, it's an interesting day. It is an interesting day. And I would be very, very surprised if she's not in one of those big national things. And it is funny. Annie moving up. Annie about to be a WNBA insider in ESPN. I think Annie Constable probably will be that. Say not Annie Constable. Jesus. Alexa Philippou will be that. There's no N. Oh, I've been misreading that. Costabile. Costabile? I've genuinely been pronouncing that like there's an N in her name. I don't know why I've been misreading that. I do want to apologize to Annie for mispronouncing your name for the last 6 months. But I would be shocked. I think this is probably one of the bigger signings in free agency. There's a 0% chance that she's not going to move to bigger or better. But it is a crazy one as well. Anyone celebrating this probably going to look dumb. Almost always reporters like her sought after by huge network. She's one of the best at her job. Yeah, and that's the funniest thing, is that it is very clear that the people of Chicago want Stans as their reporters. Not even people of Chicago, the Chicago Sky fans. Like, I think she said something like the Chicago Sky had a disappointing end to the season. And it was like they were projected to be the worst team, and they weren't. But it's like, yeah, they won 2 games after the Olympic break. What are you talking about? They obviously struggled towards the end of the season. They got destroyed. And in their biggest on Barbie night game, they lost by 30. Obviously, that's a bad idea. But it was a bad part of the season. But yeah, it's gonna be real interesting. My prediction would be maybe The Athletic, because I think ESPN having Alexa Philippou, I don't think there's any real need for her to go to ESPN. Like, obviously, look, if you're ESPN, you're going to want to have the best people there, obviously, but I would assume The Athletic is probably a more like, not obvious, just a more beneficial thing maybe for her, but it'll be interesting to see what happens. All I know is that this is always the case. With the old WNBA media, the ones who acted like stans, the ones who complained nonstop throughout the year about other people getting opportunities, all of this other stuff, they have ended up in the worst situation. And I could not that I could be again, I'm not going to pray that somebody loses their job, but I couldn't be happier in the grand scheme of things that it is the actual journalists, the actual media, the actual people that are succeeding in traditional media. And yes, when it comes to social media, the people that will succeed the most, especially with the way things are going right now, are the people that won't talk about basketball. In the social media sphere, if you're on one extreme or another, and whatever extreme you're on, you have to hate the other extreme with a passion, they are the most successful people on social media. Especially, again, in the way that it is, like, just in the way things are. That's what it's going to be. But for the actual media, and the difference is the actual media can control narratives of the actual media. We watched last year, we watched stan culture completely take over the actual media. We watched a WNBA-sponsored podcast state that Katie Lou Samuelson was as big of a factor in the Fever making the playoffs as Caitlin Clark. We watched a WNBA-sponsored podcast say that what was it that we heard them say? Sorry, we heard them say that the other 4 members of the Indiana starting 5, including Nalissa Smith, who I don't even think she would say she played well last season, were stepping up big time post-Olympic break and were the reasons why Indiana were so good. We have seen a WNBA voter in spaces with Aja Wilson's friend, who is one of the worst people, period, and all of this stuff. And the good thing is that when it comes to the actual networks, these people, no, all of this nonsense stuff, all of this stands acting as reporters, it might work. It might have worked back in the day when they didn't care who they were putting in for their WNBA coverage, but it's not going to work now. It's going to be actual journalists. It's going to be actual people that know the sport and actual people that care. Not stands, people that actually care about the freaking sport. But anyway, I'll see you guys.